With the launch of new consoles, the Sony Playstation 5, the Xbox Series X and Series S, the question of if you should buy a console or build a PC is all the more relevant at the moment. So in today's video, let's try to find out which one's the better fit for you. What would be the better decision for you to make? Should you end up confused about choosing between Intel and AMD or the Xbox and PlayStation? Let's figure it out in today's video. Hey guys, Ash here from C4E Tech, and if you do end up liking what you see in this video, thumbs up, subscribe, turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon. Let's now get started. So consoles, PCs, they have their own set of pros and cons. Now the first important question you need to ask yourself is what kind of gamer are you? What are the games you like playing? For example, me, I like strategy games. City and park building is another thing that I like. Now, yes, the likes of Sony and Microsoft do offer some strategy games, ports of course. Like for example, City Skylines has a great port on consoles. But with strategy games, you just cannot replace a keyboard and mouse, at least in my humble opinion. Similarly, first-person shooters, especially if you're playing competitively, you might be better off sticking to a keyboard and mouse, or at least that's what Amartya says. I'm not particularly into FPS, and the market for Destiny and Fortnite's huge. So, it does boil down to your preference. If you like strategy games, if you dislike aim assist and want that gaming mouse precision, there's no point in even thinking about consoles. So one demographic ruled out. Okay, so we've now seen one reason why you must go PC Master Race. Let's now see a reason why you must go console. Now this reason's been kind of shrinking these days given Microsoft is trying to market Xbox as a service more so than console hardware, meaning almost all Xbox exclusives. Well, there are no Xbox exclusives, they're all Microsoft exclusives now, so you can play them on Windows too. But then again, there still are enough exclusive titles that may make you want to get a console. Nintendo has the Mario, Pokemon and Zelda series going for it amongst others. Sony's got very polished exclusives in The Last of Us, Uncharted series, Spider-Man now. It's just to name a few here. Now, if you consider yourself someone who likes these titles, then there is no point in even thinking of getting a PC. Because, hey, these are console exclusives, so you gotta have a console. Right, that is stating the obvious. Okay, let's say neither of these apply to you. That means you still have to choose between consoles and a PC. So here's the next question. When are you buying it? Like right now, it's a great time to get a console. An Xbox Series X or a PS5, it's awesome to buy, not the Switch. I'll tell you why. Okay, that rhymed, not my intention. Now, when the console life cycle starts, early days, in the first year or two of a console's life, graphically it performs better than PC's price twice as much. But as the years go by, the cost of components keep dropping and PCs with similar console specs, they do end up getting cheaper. Like for example, our console killer build. Now from a price point perspective, just look at this. 1 terabyte of Samsung 980 Pro M.2 costs you about 20,000 rupees. Now, that's one of the only drives with read-write speeds close to what the PS5 can achieve. With the PS5, you get this storage and everything else. So, the controller, the motherboard, the CPU, GPU, PSU, case, RAM, everything for just 20,000 rupees more. Which, at that budget, it's unthinkable to get a gaming PC that performs anywhere close to a PS5. So early on in a console's life cycle, manufacturers are often selling at a loss. That is how they're able to actually get this kind of performance. They're not even selling it at cost because it gets this. When you buy a console, you're investing in an ecosystem. You will continue buying games and accessories for the console, and that means the brand will continue raking in money for the next many years, and they are offsetting that against the initial loss, looking at it as an investment. Because with PC, let's say you can buy games from Steam, you can buy games from Origin, you can buy games from various stores, but with consoles, you're on a Switch, you can only buy games from Nintendo. You're on a PS5, Sony. Of course, you can buy gaming discs from different stores, but still, for every game that comes out on a console, the manufacturer, as in the brand that's selling the console, does get a cut of it. So that's the difference between consoles and PC. You get more choice, but that is a but. The cost of what you are playing, let's take something like Friday the 13th as example. It's currently priced at about 1200 rupees on console. It only costs 450 on PC. Or pirate it. Shut up. It's not just with this game. Say Red Dead Redemption 2, it's still at full price on consoles while it's available cheaper with PC. So if you are someone who plays a lot of games, this cost might add up. You can totally negate this if you are not into digitals. You can just walk into a used game store and trade discs. Then the cost drops dramatically regardless of if you're a PC or console gamer. Next up, sticking with the cost theme, online. You don't need to pay a subscription fee to game online with PC. I mean, you'd have to pay whatever the game dev wants, but there is no fee on top of that. There is no fee for you to keep your PC online. With a PlayStation or an Xbox, even the Switch for that matter, you need to pay a monthly fee to keep gaming online. Microsoft started this with the Xbox 360. At that point, Sony was offering it free on the PS3, but with the PS4, Sony went ahead and started charging for the servers, and hey, Nintendo recently joined in. This cost, it adds up really quick. For example, the PS Plus, that subscription costs 700 rupees a month. Even if you go for an annual subscription, it's about 3,000 rupees. The prices are going to keep going up, and let's say the console life cycle is roughly 7 years, because that is what the PS4's life cycle was. So let's assume the PS5 lasts for 7 years. We are 7 years away from the PS6 launch, if there's going to be one. Story for a different day. Now, taking into account the fact that subscription costs increase over time, you're going to be paying about 30,000 rupees more at the very least to stay online for the next 7 years. Now, that just almost doubled the cost of the console, didn't it? So today, a 40k PC cannot do jack compared to a PlayStation Digital Edition. But at around 1 lakh, how do they stack up? Now, let's get back to the visual fidelity for a minute. With PC, you get a lot more options, so much more granular control over what you can turn on and off, and what levels they're at. Now, this is a double-edged sword. It provides you a level of control that's unmatched on consoles, but there's a lot of tinkering to do to get the best performance. To sit around looking at FPS meters, switching settings on and off, restarting the game over and over to get things just right. I'm sure anyone who's ever gamed on a PC can relate to this. We've all been there, no shame in admitting it. With consoles, there is no control usually. Now, with the latest generation, we are seeing a little bit of options. You get to choose resolution or frame rate as priority. But again, most times, the frame rate maxes out at 60. So basically, you get a simpler experience with consoles, which might or might not be a good thing depending on how you look at it. And this simplicity continues more so with the actual experience. With consoles, you just put it on rest mode and pick up where you left off. And these days, hell, Xbox's instant resume function lets you pick up where you left off with multiple games. And while it is true that you can leave a game minimized on your PC and get back to it, it just isn't that elegant a solution. And while there have been peripherals for PC for couch use, consoles are just easier to get into with couch gaming. This also means the odds of having to fight over the remote is lesser with PCs. Also, in PC's corner is more indie titles and more functionality. It is a computer, it's probably Windows, you get a keyboard and mouse, doing your homework, writing a script, going through Excel sheets, attending online classes, Skype, watching videos, using VPN.
Of course.
There's a lot of things you can use a PC for. While consoles are becoming more streaming oriented these days with access to Netflix, Prime, YouTube, etc., they still are nowhere close to PCs in terms of flexibility. And you notice how I mentioned YouTube for both. So it doesn't matter if you have a PC or a console, you can use YouTube to subscribe to C4EDEC if you haven't yet. So anyway, shameless self-promotion apart, what do we have here? One is a walled garden of consoles. The barrier of entry here is pretty low. The experience is pretty consistent. Heck, in a vacuum, it kinda does get better with age. End-of-life games generally look way better than launch titles do. The games are priced a little on the higher side. Basically, the console itself is more of a gateway. The actual products, the games, accessories, and services that you are sold over the duration of the console's lifetime, that seems to be what you're actually paying for. In fact, that's one of the reasons why the hardware is refreshed after such a long time. Be it Sony or Microsoft or even Nintendo, they want the max time possible to earn as much as they can off a single console.
This is business!
On the PC side of things, it's a lot different. Each thing comes with its own profit margin, leading to a higher price of entry. The community on a whole is more tinkery, which means there's not a lot of hand-holding or guided experiences out there. To be fair, it is more rewarding. At least, I think so. Anyway, in this video, I've pointed out a lot of scenarios under which of these two is the better option for you to choose. So, which do you feel is better for you? And yes, I mean you. Leave a comment right below. And with that, we get to the end of this video. Hope you liked it, found it useful. If you do, I'm sure you know what to do by now. And thanks a lot for your time. Till we meet again, Nash here from C4E Tech, signing off. Bye-bye.